Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty powerful and, let's be honest, provocative critique of our modern education system, all coming from the late Professor Pierluigi Piazzi. His core argument is simple and, frankly, a little terrifying.
So, according to Piazzi, the system isn't just, underperforming or in need of a few tweaks here and there. No. He argues that it's in critical condition, suffering from a chronic illness that's just getting worse by the day.
Okay, so how does Piaget even begin to diagnose this? Well, he approaches the whole problem like a doctor would. First, you got to identify the patient and figure out the symptoms. But as you're about to see, his final diagnosis is, well, it's probably not what you're expecting.
First up, a system in crisis.
Piazzi argues that this isn't some new bug that just appeared. Nope. He sees it as a chronic disease that's been festering for decades, with symptoms that have been pretty much ignored or just misdiagnosed over and over again.
Now for the first major symptom he identifies, something he calls the educational ICU. So this symptom really centers on a Brazilian institution called a cursinho. Just think of it as an intense prep course that students take, but here's the wild part, after they've already graduated. According to Piazzi, the fact that these even exist proves the system is fundamentally broken.
Piazzi's metaphor here is just so powerful. He doesn't see these prep courses as some kind of helpful supplement. To him, they're an emergency room, an ICU for students who survived years of school but came out without the actual knowledge they were supposed to get.
And this creates this totally backward, upside-down reality. The official school, it gives you a diploma, but a lot of the time fails to actually teach you. The cursinho, on the other hand, actually teaches you the material but offers zero credentials. So one provides the appearance of knowledge and the other provides the knowledge itself. It's nuts. And the examples Piazzi gives are just stunning. I mean, think about it. A student spends 5 years in law school, they graduate, but then they can't pass the bar exam without going to a prep course. It makes you ask, what exactly did they learn for those 5 years? It gets even more alarming. A student can complete 6 full years of medical school, yet still need a prep course to get into a residency program. I mean, that just proves the system values the piece of paper far more than actual competence. He even points to driving school. He says most of them don't teach you how to drive, they teach you how to pass the test and get the license. If you want to actually learn how to drive safely, you often need another totally different course. So this whole trend leads to an absurd, but, a pretty logical conclusion. If a diploma is just a piece of paper that's totally disconnected from real learning, why would you spend 12 years getting one when you can just buy something that's functionally the same thing in 15 days?
Okay, symptom number 2 takes us to the international stage, the international scorecard. To look at this, we have to talk about the PISA exam. The key thing you have to know about this test is that it doesn't measure how well you memorized a specific curriculum. Nope, it measures real skills, logical reasoning, interpretation, and problem solving. In other words, it's trying to measure intelligence. So, what were the results for Brazil's students who came from both public and so-called good private schools? It was a devastating, nationally embarrassing, second-to-last place finish.
Piazzi sums up the whole result with this brutally honest and, you have to admit, darkly funny quote. The only thing that stopped the country from being dead last in the entire tested universe was the performance of one other country. I mean, that's just how dire the situation was. So we've got the symptoms laid out, a broken system internally and rock-bottom international rankings. This brings us to the crucial question. What is Piazzi's diagnosis? Who's to blame? Well, the typical culprits are the schools, right? Or overworked teachers, or maybe incompetent government officials. But after Piazzi examines all the evidence, he rejects every single one of them. His diagnosis points the finger somewhere else entirely. He looks directly at the families, at the parents, and says the fault lies with them. It's a shocking, really provocative claim, but his reasoning behind it is incredibly powerful. See, Piazzi argues that for generations, parents have been making the wrong demands. They're driven by all the societal pressure and the intense competition for college, so they demand good grades, not learning. They demand a diploma, not intelligence. And the school system? Well, it's like any business. It simply delivers what its customers are asking for, the appearance of education, not the substance of it. But Piazzi's diagnosis isn't just about placing blame. It's about finding the cure by empowering the very people he holds responsible. It's time for changing the game's rules.
This is his core idea for fixing the entire broken system. You don't need to fire all the teachers or rebuild all the schools. You just need to change the fundamental rules of the game, the goals and the rewards that drive everybody's behavior. Piazzi sees three key players in this game: the students, the families, and the teachers. And he argues that if families, just one of these groups, start changing the rules, the whole system will be forced to adapt. This means shifting the focus from what grade did you get to what did you find interesting today. It means rewarding curiosity and genuine understanding, not just how you did on a test. When parents start demanding real learning, schools will have no other choice but to provide it.
Ultimately, his whole argument comes down to this classic piece of wisdom. Handing your child a diploma without the real knowledge behind it, that's like giving them a fish. It solves a problem for a day. But demanding that they learn how to think, how to reason, how to solve problems, that is teaching them how to fish. It's a skill that will feed them for a lifetime.
And this leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. In a world that is obsessed with report cards and test scores and credentials, what is the one rule we could change in our own families or in our own schools to start rewarding the difficult, messy, and absolutely essential process of actual learning?